2, 3.
Welcome back to Trauma and Tea. I'm Matt, this is Moll, and today we have Meg, who's my cousin, who has come to talk to us about her story. We're going to be touching on grief and well, the death of your mother, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's kind of start with what happened, really, like this.
It's a bit of a. It was a difficult situation. It's one of those situations you read about, but you never think you'd actually experience. So my mother was in Tenerife on holidays with my father. The day that they were flying home, well, the day they were due to fly home, my mother woke up in the morning. She went to the shop. She got herself a drink. She come back and she dropped dead. From like things that my father described, he said literally this all that happened was when she come back, she went a bit unsteady on her feet. He sat her down and she just, as he described it, she just dropped. She just kind of flopped down and she just dropped to the floor. My poor father was obviously on his own in Tenerife with her as well. He had to try and do CPR and obviously call for help from the reception and obviously get an ambulance and things like that. Unfortunately, though, still to this day, I don't actually know how my mother died. On the death certificate, it is just noted as shock, pending further investigation. And then in November, just gone, I had a letter saying that they were still investigating my mum's death.
I was still investigating, but how long ago was it?
So my mother died on the 20th of February, 2023.
In 3 years, it's pretty recent.
Yeah, so a year ago she passed away. It was crazy. She's only 53, do you know what I mean? She was in good health. Well, as good as she could be. She had a good job, do you know what I mean? She weren't kind of under the stress that she used to be under. Because my mother was a mental health nurse. She worked in Witch's Hospital for years, and then she finally then left the hospital completely and went to work in the community with people with mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And she was happy, do you know what I mean? She was enjoying life, and and she went to Tenerife and didn't come home.
There's no previous things before, just
like, kind of everyone has like little bits and, things. She had high blood pressure.
nothing alarming.
Nothing that was to say that she was unwell. Do you know what I mean? There was no kind of, real pains or nothing to do with problems with her heart or, she was quite fit for her age as well. She used to go to the gym and she lost loads of weight at one point. If you remember, Max, my mother was quite a big woman at one point in her life. Like fitting in 20-something size 20 jeans and things like that. She was quite big. And she went to the gym, she was working out, she was on diets and things like that. Not restrictive, but making sure she was eating healthy, taking the healthier options of things. And she slimmed right down. She was like a size 12, I think, but she was on holidays.
So she was a complete surprise.
She was comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was nothing to say that she was unwell in order for that to happen.
Can you take me back to the moment you actually found out? And
so I was currently at the time I was going through my bus training. So I was on the bus kind of driving, so didn't have my phone on me, obviously didn't want the distraction. Because I was obviously trained to be a bus driver at the time. I'd got off, so we was a few of us driving, and we all had kind of like an hour each of driving. And when I got off, I checked my phone and noticed I'd had like a missed call off my mum's phone, a missed call off my dad's phone, and another missed call off my mother's phone. So I asked my instructor, I said, "Do you mind if I just go and make a quick call? Obviously something's wrong to have these calls three in a row." But instinctively, I'd run my mother back. And my father answered, and he was in a panic. He was like, "Something's wrong with Mammy." And because of my nan, obviously got dementia, she's in hospital. I just want Nanny. He was like, "No, Mum." I was like, "My mother? What do you mean there's something wrong with my mother?" And he was like, "Right, I gotta go. Julie, she had an heart attack, something's happened. The medics are here. I gotta go. And I was just, it felt like I was just completely in the dark. So I'm now on this bus with other people, which are also trained to be bus drivers, just having the news kind of that my mother's had, as well my father thought at the time, was a heart attack. And I just remember everything just kind of going, I just didn't know like what he's doing, it was like, to explain it, do you see like in films when everything just goes dead quiet? And it's like you have that news and everything just goes silent. And that's how it felt, just instantly went kind of like numb in a way. And I just remember sitting down and my instructor going, "Everything all right, girl?" Like he used to speak to me and I was like, "My mother's just had an heart attack." And in all fairness, I got to give it to them. They were fantastic. They were like, right, get back to the depot, Jimmy, as quickly as we could. Luckily enough, we'd already driving around Cardiff anyway, so we just headed straight back so I could get my car and kind of go home. I think within, obviously, he instantly started crying, and I was just a bit of a...
Took a bit of a dinner.
Yeah, it kind of just, like, I just kind of sat there and was like, wait a minute, like, what? I don't understand what's going on by you. And then I had another phone call off I rang my brother straight away. Even though me and my brother weren't even in the best. We were talking, but not as close as we used to be. We had a bit of a falling out, as families do. And the first thing I did, I was like, I need to ring my brother. Obviously told him that he needed to come home. I rang my grandfather then and also told him and said I was on my way home to meet me at the house. And within, I think it was 10 minutes of that conversation, my father then rings me again, boarded down the phone, saying she's gone. So I can remember saying to her, I was like, no, she's not. I don't feel like she's gone. I can't feel that she's gone. I think the biggest thing for me was, obviously, I was in a different country. I was there. So I was like, no, she's not. And I just remember just feeling this like whole kind of like, no, it can't. It's my mother. She's not gone. She's not allowed to be gone. Not yet. Like, what do you mean my mum's gone? And
She's just on holiday.
That's what I mean. I was meant to pick her up 8 o'clock that night from the airport together. And I just remember just kind of, and my father was like, I gotta go do this, that. And he was in the hospital. He was obviously had to fill out forms and this, that, and the other. And bless his heart, he had to kind of, do everything. And I just remember just buckling. I just completely buckled. And I was lucky, I had the guys around with me as well. And they made sure that, they gave me a big cut. And then they were like, right, we need to get you home. Lucky enough, they got me home as well with my car. And kind of just gathered in the house there. And luckily enough, my friend Rihanna was at the house as well because she was staying with me because she lived with her parents as well. Obviously they were gone, so we stayed in the house together. And I walked through the door and I just dropped, just completely collapsed. I just didn't feel like I had any weight in my body. It was just nothing. It was like my world had just been ripped from me.
Yeah. Did you feel like your dad had much? Did you think your dad had much support when he was out there? Did he say anything about it?
Luckily enough, he did say that there was like the hotel, especially like the receptionist, and he said we're doing CPR on my mother as well with him, like trying their best to keep her going and things. And he said the hotel were absolutely amazing with her help. He also had this one woman as well from the hotel go to the hospital and help translate everything for him. And he had so many forms and things like that he had to fill out. It's like he was sending them. I think this is when I went into instant then overdrive. I just kind of switched. I went from this just couldn't move to right, I need to sort Dad. And I was like, right, any forms you got, send them to me. Because they were electronically, he did not fill them out on his phone. So I was filling everything out, sending them back to him. I was like, this all you need to do is put a signature on it. So he then had someone with him to be able to edit it and kind of, so he could sign it and give them to him. And that's how we dealt with all the forms then, all the electronic forms and everything like that. We had to release, obviously, my mother's medical records for the autopsy to be done. Obviously out there. So it was like literally, I think it was about 4 forms we had to fill out.
Was that a long process then, or was it completely passed because of the circumstances? So
I'm not too sure how long it took them to do the autopsy, but it was a while, I think, because obviously after they'd done the autopsy, it still took us 12 kind of weeks to get her home from Tenerife. So like I think that part in between, I just went, like I said, just complete overdrive. Was like, right, I need to sort this out. My father come home and he couldn't sleep because he just kept seeing my mum in his dream. Like, during the minute he dropped off, he just said, I just see her eyes going. Do you know what I mean? And I can't imagine how that felt for him in that time, for him to kind of be on his own. And like I said, the minute everything revolved around getting my dad home and making sure that he was okay. And he was able to actually get on the flight that he was originally meant to get on because of the way she passed away in the morning. And where I was so quick as well, and my dad with all the forms getting signed, getting done.
Yeah.
Even the hospital said there's nothing you can do. Can't take her with you. There's nothing you can do. Go home to your family. And he did. He come home.
Did that worry you? Think knowing that your mum was there and like obviously you all did bring her back. Did that like give you any sort of?
It was a horrid feeling. Like for my father as well, he said the worst feeling of his life was sat there with an empty seat next to him where his wife was meant to be sat. It was heartbreaking, and like for me, and my brother was the same as well. It's like we felt like we'd left her there on her own. Like she had no one. And I know, obviously, I had one of those. I am a big believer in, even though her body's there and it's always home with us. It would have been. Do you know what I mean? I had kind of like tried to tell myself, like, no, her body's there, she's home, she's with us, she always will be.
That's how you processed.
In a way, yeah, but at the same time, I couldn't. I was weird. I think I was in the stage of denial.
Yeah.
And I think because it took 12 weeks in total to get her home from Tenerife and to get her body released and this, that, and the other, and the wait for, obviously, she'd have put on a flight and waiting for that time, I think I kind of hit my denial stage where I was like, it's not real. She's going to walk to the door in a minute. She's going to walk to the door. And obviously she didn't. So knowing that all that time while she was out there, it was just like her body's there, but she's obviously home. But once again, like I said, it was a mix between that denial and being like, no, it's
I think grief is really hard because unless you can, like you said, see it.
Yeah.
Like you can't really. That's why some people go to the chapel rest and then they go and see they. And
I wasn't allowed.
Peaceful. Yeah, you wouldn't have been. And that
after 12 weeks, I argued black and blue with our funeral director. I was like, I need to see my mum.
Yeah.
To believe that she's gone in a way.
Yeah.
I was like, I need him to see it. And he was like, I am not allowing you to go in there and see her because he said the things that he was like, he didn't. Luckily enough, obviously, the funeral directors we used, my mother had actually grown up with the funeral director, with Geraint. He was absolutely fantastic. And they grew up together. And luckily enough, even he said, he was like, obviously, we've identified the body. Because he said, we're not allowing you to see her in that state. I couldn't put clothes on her for the funeral, nothing. She was just, a body deteriorated.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment that really sunk in and hit you?
I think the minute I put my dad on his own, it hit me a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was like, this is real, do you know what I mean? Like, she hasn't actually come home. Do you know what I mean? It's like, because like I said, you didn't physically see it. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard to comprehend in your brain that, like, well, she's actually gone. And then when me and my brother went down to pick my father up, it was like, oh, hang on, this is actually real. Do you know what I mean? She's not coming home. Not for a long time. And I think, like I said, the worst thing I'd done was I just went into complete, like, overdrive, took care of everything. I dealt with getting a home, with obviously the emailing back with the insurance company, which is godsend that they did actually have travel insurers. Anyone goes away now, I'm like, you need to take travel insurance, else you never know what's going to happen. They paid for everything, so luckily we didn't have to pay anything. Because even like getting a body on from the airport to the funeral directors, we paid a cost to get her home.
Yeah.
So we were very, very lucky that they had trauma insurance. But it was just everything. Do you mean the funeral, finances, because they were in the middle of remortgaging, so kind of had to go through that with my dad had to remortgage again. So a lot of the time, I just kind of just beeline like, right, dad's the most important thing right now. You don't worry. Do you know what I mean? Like, dad needs to help. He wouldn't eat, he wouldn't drink, he wouldn't sleep. So that, no, he needs to be okay before I can kind of grieve. And I know it's sometimes not healthy to do it that way, but in my mind, it was like, I have to do this.
I think it's natural, to want to look after your dad.
Yeah. Do you think that helped, like the distraction of kind of...
It distracted me massively. I was able to go, I even went back to work after a week and a half after Mum passed. I did my bus test, everything. She was with me that day, I can tell you. I passed the test, no liners, everything. Do you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, Mom's here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I did. I distracted myself a lot first. I think because a lot of it was just, like I said, it was denial, but couldn't really comprehend that she was gone. And I remember having like dreams and stuff of her coming home. Because I'd have dreamed very vividly. And I just remember waking up and I was in absolute tears. And I was like, yeah, I think I need to go to grief counselling.
Is that how you dealt with the grief?
No, not really. I think in my own way I dealt with my grief. Like, I dealt with it a lot. Not on my own, because I in a way I did. But I think I found myself better off that way. Like, when I was on my own, I'd sit and I'd go, right, okay, this is when your time, and I'd write letters to her, which I felt helped a lot. when obviously things would get a bit too much, and I was like, right, take a step back now, Meg. You've done everything. Calm down. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can take a moment for yourself. And I would, and I'd sit there and I, like I said, I'd let my emotions come out. Because in front of everybody else, they have to be right, I'm strong, I could deal with this, I can handle this. But then obviously with that time on my own, it'd be, well, do you know what I mean? How do you cope with this? Do you know what I mean? My mum's gone. She's not coming back.
I think it's an amazing thing you did though, finding something that worked for you.
Yeah.
So you didn't find the counselling helpful at all?
I felt it did in a way. It helped me understand, because I always felt that after, like, in time, I felt like I was grieving wrong.
Okay.
I felt like I didn't grieve properly because of how I dealt with the way that I dealt with, obviously, with making sure everybody else was okay, and I distracted myself with work or with the plans for this and the other. And I remember, like, after the funeral as well, I think that's when I kind of realised when I had nothing else to do. Do you know what I mean? I think that's when I really started grieving, probably.
Yeah.
And properly, actually. But I always felt guilty that I didn't grieve properly for my mum. And I feel guilty that there'd go days where I'd like, no, I wouldn't think of her. And then I'd beat myself up over it because I'm like, how can you go that long without thinking of your mother?
No, I can see why you went there. Like,
Yeah.
For me, I think it's really, well, we had another person who had lost a daughter on the road, and I think you naturally do just go into a coping, this has got to be done, this has got to be done. I think that is a part of grief.
Yeah.
And I actually think this is why it's important to talk about grief, because lots of people experience grief in different ways. Some people cannot have any grief. I know somebody who lost somebody and they didn't grieve for like a year. And they literally didn't cry for a year after they were born. And one day just all come on to
It was a shock.
They had 3 other kids and they were just going about their life.
Yeah, it's
piecing it together. It's
the little things as well. It's like I remember going shopping. I was in Tesco's and I was looking at bed and I was like, I couldn't remember what size bed there was, like my dad had or whatever. And I was like, I didn't matter. And I'm like, and then I'm in the middle of Tesco's. I'm like, don't cry. Do you know, because I'm in the middle of a supermarket. And the first thing I want to do is ring my mum. Yeah. And it's like those little things that you kind of
just don't realise you do.
No, and it hits you all of a sudden, do you know what I mean? And but grief counselling, that's what it did help me, like I said, understand that everyone grieves differently. Yeah. And the way that I grieved was the way that I needed to grieve. Not sit there in a pit of kind of despair. But my way was just dealing with everything and coping with everything and making sure that everything ran how it's like in a way how it's supposed to.
Yeah. Well, you did that for your mum.
Yeah.
Well, you did it for your dad.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's really strong.
It was hard. It was really hard. Obviously putting that brave face on and kind of doing the whole, I'll take care of it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. But in a way, I think it was the best thing for not just for me, but for my family as well. Because my dad, he's not a very emotional person, but this buckled him. Do you know what I mean? He just walked for his house and was asked from his head.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, I think that I done the right thing.
Yeah, you took the reins a bit.
Yeah.
I was dad now.
A lot better. But he's also now like in his, since this happened, is all right. I'm only here once. I'm doing this thing. It's like we're going to Mexico now with me because he wants to go to Mexico. He wants to see.
Is that something he would have done before?
Possibly, but not something that he would have been so spontaneous. Like, right, we're doing it. I'm going down and we're booking in. I was like, right, okay. Do you know what I mean? And I'm kind of here now, just riding along, being like, yeah, we do you. Do you know what I mean? Spend as much time with my dad as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know he's relatively only young. He's only 58.
Yeah.
But then my mother was only 53 and she got taken like that. So it's like, I think in his mind now, it's all about the memories, spending time and doing everything he possibly can, even with his grandchildren. Do you know what I mean? He wants to take them to Florida next year and he wants to have these experiences.
Yeah.
Because I think in a way it shook him up to be like, well, life is actually really short. I never know when your number's up. Which is my mother was a very, very big believer in. Once numbers up, your number's up.
Was she?
Yeah. She said everyone's got their path. Everyone's got this, they kind of did their story, but when your numbers up, it's your time to go kind of thing. My mother was very open about speaking about kind of, what she wanted as well. So it was quite easy with the funeral. I knew everything, what she wanted, how she wanted to.
You know, that's the kind of the next thing I was going to ask you was kind of how was that process of arranging the funeral and
If there's somebody you didn't expect wouldn't be you all of a sudden, you know?
because I attended
Obviously,
the funeral. Obviously, it was a beautiful funeral.
I did try and speak, but that didn't work at all. I thought I could do it. I got up and I just went, oh. I was like, this is all so stupid. My brother's like, just say thank you and sit down. Thank you. I literally just sat down. It was, yeah, I tried. Tried my best. But no, it was, my mother wasn't very religious. She more spiritual than religious kind of thing. She loved her crystals and things like that, didn't she? So, but she was very open. But I don't think there was a conversation like I couldn't have with my mother. She was my best friend. And it was always the same. It'd always be, I borrow off daffodils, spread me up windies, and you never put a stone on my head. So that's what she wanted. That's what she had.
No.
Yeah, so she's now currently on a set of Chester doors in the house. Look all pretty. But yeah, Jamie, so it was in a way it was a lot easier that we were able to have that discussion. I know I obviously weren't expecting it to go, or weren't expected to have to plan anything for God knows how many years. Because I think one of those things you always feel, I don't know if either of you feel, but you feel like your parents are going to be with you forever.
Yeah.
It's one of those feelings you have.
Expected.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you got to be. Do you know what I mean? You're my mum and dad. You got to be around forever. You're not allowed to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So then to have that sudden, like, taken away, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Hang on a minute now. So what's going on by her?
Yeah, I think it's not any harder if they died year away. But I do think, and my mum, when I was 2, she lost her sister abroad in a similar situation. She died in Greece, and trying to get her, you know, obviously I knew the story, but I remember from being a kid, everyone else discussing it around me, and how awful it was for everyone else talking about everything you've talked about, you know. And I even remember the day the police came to the house to challenge mother, because this is the days we didn't have.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly.
If you didn't answer the house phone, they came and knocked the door.
Knocked the door, yeah.
And I remember seeing, you know, police come, and I don't remember what happened, but I remember my mum sitting on the stairs and just full on body shaking, head to toe, couldn't stop shaking. And it was only later, actually quite recently, that I brought it up to my mum, and she said that was the day my sister died, so I found out. And I think the worst thing for my mum was she just received a postcard in the morning, because obviously we're talking days in advance.
Yeah.
So she just received a postcard from her sister in Greece, and then she was carrying on.
Doing herself, like, yeah.
Well, it's like she can't be, because I got this postcard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's what, like,
this is what you're explaining.
yeah, that's how I feel. It's
real.
not real because I haven't seen it. Do you know what I mean? And it was only the day before she posted a picture up in a pub, you know, with, like, in a nice dress. She was, oh my God, it's hot, hot, hot out here. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, well, she's smiling. She's happy with it. How can you go from that to that so quickly?
Yeah. You know, as they're like obviously investigating, what is that you pushing for the investigation, or are they not just half? Is the insurance not happy with the reason of death?
No, so from when Mum died, obviously the autopsy, I don't quite know. Obviously, it's hard because everything's in Spanish. We had to pay for all the documents to be translated. We had to have everything, the death certificate, everything. And on the death certificate, this order says it's shock pending investigation. So it's like that also then leaves you with all these unanswered questions. Like, well, how could she be dead if you can't even tell me how she died?
Yeah.
And it's like, right, okay, fair enough. And in a way, I kind of just accepted that now and said, right, okay, sure. So when I actually went back to Tenerife, me, my brother, and my dad, and my brother's partner. We all went out for a week, spread my mum's ashes out there, because obviously, well, she lived out there. Yeah. The reason why they were out there is because they were looking to buy an apartment for them to retire in. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but it was bittersweet, Jimmy being out there and scattering her ashes of somewhere that she lived.
Yeah.
And when we come home, and there was just this letter off the coroner's office, it just kind of brought everything back. I'm like, it'd been 6-7 months since she passed. And then I have this letter come through saying they're still looking into it. And it's like, how can you still be looking into it?
Yeah.
What was so wrong that you can't tell me how she passed. And it does leave a lot of unanswered questions. And I think at the moment, not is that my biggest fear, but something that really does give me anxiety is the non-knowing and the constant reminders.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was able, in a way, after so long, I kind of just accepted that it was shock. There's so many different kind of abbreviations of shock. Do you mean you got distributive, anaphylactic, anything really? Do you know what I mean? It's all, and I don't know, but I've accepted that. Then see that letter, it's like, right, we're back to square one now.
Yeah.
It's like things the closure. Right?
Yeah, instantly. And it's like, I know in the back of my mind always that one day I'm going to come home and there's going to be that letter there again. And then I'm actually going to know.
Yeah. Is this something that you can close down then, this investigate? Like, or is it something they have to do regardless?
The coroner's office, obviously, they need that. Well, it's just to get the final death, reached cause death, really. I think in a way I've always wanted to know, but at the same time, I think it's like, right, well, I've dealt with my grief. Obviously, I'm still grieving. I'm always going to grieve. It's my mum.
Yeah.
But I think when I handled my grief and I kind of, right, okay, yeah, you've grieved. I allowed myself to be sad and I allowed myself to kind of go through the emotions with my grief.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of come out the other side of like, right, yeah, you're still going to be grieving. It's still going to be a big hole.
And you feel like that one's going to be kind of opened back up.
Yeah, instantly. The minute I see that letter, I know instantly my heart it's just going to be shattered again. Because it's just going to kind of put everything back to day one where it's like
a trigger.
Yeah, from where it's just going to be day one of this is how your man died. Then it's also going to, like I said, it's going to take it back to the death.
What I can't understand is what are they investigating?
Or the toxicology reports and things like that. They're still looking into, and that's what I can't understand myself is how they
so long.
Why is it taking a year? Is it because it's being like it's got dealt with in a different country? Is it
I think it does slow things down
massively.
From what I've heard, for lots of different people, I think it definitely makes things unlocked harder.
But even, it was 12 weeks, 13 or 14 weeks. She died the 28th of February and it waited until the 15th of May. We had the funeral. Do you know what I mean? So even that in itself is it's a long old time. A long old time to be waiting to be able to say your final goodbyes to things.
Yeah, definitely.
But the biggest thing we've always done as a family, obviously you've noticed this, we've always been celebrated her life. Do you know what I mean? So it's like her birthday was before the funeral, but we all had a massive get together in the house. We had, do you know what I mean, like a barbecue on the go, as my mother would have wanted for her birthday. And it's just like things like that. It's like on the 28th and the anniversary of my dad, all our friends and family come down. Well, not all, but we had a kind of a drink to celebrate that life. Do you know what I mean? It's always, I think that's the biggest thing that we've done now as a family is always try and celebrate together that she had a good life. She, she done things that she wanted to do, and she was a mad woman. Do you know what I mean? And it's like they shared stories, and it's just sometimes it's just so nice just to sit there and just listen to like her closest friends talk about these, like the stories and things like that. Is like one of my favourite things.
It's like kind of keeping her
alive, yeah.
Yeah, because like you mentioned that she was spiritual, but like you say you're quite similar and it's helped you grieve in a way.
Yeah, I've always believed in,
thinking about the fact that she's still here, even though, because I think that is a massive thing when it comes to healing.
Yeah,
you need to have something to help, and I think a belief like that is quite powerful.
She's always with me. I know that.
Yeah,
always.
As like for me, when I think of people who passed, I like if they come into my head, I just think they're around.
Yeah,
that's how I see it. If I see things in dreams, I just see them more as
I dream about.
That's them telling me they're around.
I dream about her, and
yeah,
in a way,
always around.
Yeah, in a way, I wake up and you'd have like that little tear, and it's like, but I know she's there, and it does help. It does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know she's not with me in body, but she's always going to be with me in spirit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say I'm like my mom anyway, so I carry my mom within me.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it does. It's always kind of ups and downs with it, and there's always going to be. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But
would you say anything in particularly really helped you with grief? Like, is there anything that stands out? People saying really helped me. Like, did you try anything else other than counselling? To do like exercise or?
I think the letters more than anything.
The letters were the main.
Yeah, just being able to sit there, and it's as sad as it sounds. It did. I'd sit there and I'd cry, and I'd just write these letters to her. Obviously, but in a way, it was like I know she's never going to get them.
Yeah,
but she's going to read them.
Yeah.
because she's, she's
you.
with me. Do you know what I mean? So I think that was the biggest, in a way, the biggest help for me was writing the letters to my mum, and do you know what I mean? Just kind of, poor now. But it's, I think the letters were the biggest thing, because obviously everything else I'm just kind of distracted myself with. So that was just all distraction.
I think that work you done internally on yourself, like that is the best way in there to deal with grief. Like,
it was hard because I did isolate myself a lot from my friends as well. It's like I'd go days and days without speaking to anyone. But and I think everyone has their process, don't they, really? And that's what helped for me.
Yeah.
In a way. That's probably the biggest thing that I say would help.
Yeah. You'll do it.
Come on, pop one.
Just trying to think of questions.
Is there anything else that we haven't touched on?
No, not really. Like, how's you and your brother now?
Fab.
Do you think it brought you close together?
Again, yeah. Massively. I think because me and my brother have always been close. We've always been friends, but we had a bit of a barney. Do you know what I mean? We fell out. It happens, between siblings. And now it's, we speak to each other nearly every day, see each other all the time. Bob's at my house, and we see that's brought us loads closer together, massively. There is one thing I will say though, which was, I think, was one of the worst things for me after losing Mum, was, do you mean just walking to my local shop, and obviously I live in a small village. Everyone knows everyone. Yeah, and I'd walk to the shop. Like, oh, love, you okay? Yeah, fine. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, brave face on. Yeah, all good. Oh, how's your father? How's your brother? Yeah, we're all coping. We're trying to do what we can for each other, things like that. Oh, yeah, great. And then as soon as I'd walk away, oh, bless her. Oh, I love her. And that used to drive me crazy. Do you know what I mean? I understand. I'm in a position. But do you know what I mean? Just wait till I'm gone.
Oh, okay.
Not as soon as I turned round, I'd gone to Jimmy, I walked up the shop, oh, love, oh, bless her, oh, love. And I'm like, can you hear you? Like, do you know what I mean? I think that was that for me. I don't know, everyone meant well, but it was like the people come knocking on the house constantly. Like, you couldn't have 10 minutes where someone wouldn't be in the house. It's like the first day she died, oh my God, my house was full. I didn't have 2 seconds to myself. In the point of it, like, and I know what, well, my way of dealing with it, once again, I said to my brother, I was like, I start charging people a tenner to come in now, like, do you know what I mean? I've been making a fortune. And the messages, and it's what people do today when someone's lost them in.
Yeah, I think that's quite overpowering.
Yeah.
Though sometimes, and like you said, you're trying to deal with it, and then you got all this noise.
It's like our cousin come down, and it was like, in a way, as awful as it sounds, made a lot about her. And I'm like, hang on a minute, I've just lost my mother. I'm I'm trying to process. And you've just come down here now wailing and, being like this, that. Yeah. And I was like, I need, chill out, please. Yeah. Like, I had to tell everyone when my father first come home, it was like, right, we don't want anyone coming to the house. At this moment of time, we just need to be us.
Yeah.
Just to kind of sit there and be like, right, what do we do now? But it was just, it's non-stop. And it shows how much my mother was loved. It does. Even the funeral itself, you couldn't move. And I don't even know how many people I spoke to, how many people touched me. Like, it was like a whirlwind. Yeah. I couldn't sit down for more than 2 minutes in a wake. Like, it was mad. I don't think I've ever seen so many people in one place in my life. It was just like, what is going on? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It was overwhelming, but it was so nice to see how loved she was.
Yeah.
So nice. And just people talking about her, keeping her memory alive.
Yeah, I think I'm more like all for that, I'd say, celebrating someone's life, not so much
not commiserating and not dwelling on what happened, but just celebrating that she had a good life.
Yeah.
It's one of the main things that we've always done.
And it's good that it hasn't stopped Dad going on holidays, because obviously now he's doing more than ever. So. Yeah. It's because that could have ended up
having an opposite effect. Yeah,
it could have ended up in a totally different situation.
No, 110%.
I think it's really, really good that I didn't do that.
Yeah. How would you say you've kind of, big question, but how would you say it's kind of changed you as a person? Losing a parent.
Do you change as a person losing? What'd you say?
I don't know, it's hard because I think in a way I have changed. Without being, it's like I've now kind of I distance myself a lot from my friends. I know I have. I still try and reach out every now and again, and but I'm not as I used to be out all the time, doing whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I'm not so much like that now, I suppose. Also changed job as well that I went through, obviously as a kind of being a bus driver. You can't just go out every night of the week and drink. Do you know what I mean? But no, I think it is a bit of a difficult one because I personally don't think I've changed that much. I'm still my bubbly self. I still like to, I'm a very social person. I'm a people person, and but at the same time, I think in a way, I think I've isolated a lot more than what I used to be like. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not as.
I would say maybe it forces you to grow up pretty fast as well.
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, it did. It did because I had to take on so much responsibility, and even just in the house, like I feel like I've taken my role as well as my mother's role. So, and it's no obviously diss on my father, but I do most of the cleaning in the house. Do you mean I do the washing in the house? I do most of the cooking in the house. But obviously that was always spread between me and my mother. But obviously when Mum died, I took all that responsibility on because I didn't want my father to have anything to do because I knew what he'd just been through. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of just took everything on and just dealt with everything myself.
Yeah.
So I just took on so much responsibility. It's like even now, I'm like, Dad, Jimmy, just empty the bin, like, come on. Put your finger out, let's do something, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it did. It did. And it kind of made me, I suppose, grow up a lot more as to where I wanted to kind of, when I could just be young kid, that's free, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm now about 26 and I've got a lot of responsibility now.
Yeah. Did you see more children?
No children, but my niece does live with us. So she does that up a bit. I mean, but she's 14, she wants to be out with her friends and that, doesn't she?
Does like obviously having younger like kids around you, does that make you think about like how when you think about that you've lost somebody? I know she's not your child, but obviously you're an auntie. Has it changed everyone else around you and how they are with the kids? Like with your niece, like are you more like, we do more with the kids and
my father, yeah, like my father wants to take him to Florida next year just to be like he needs to experience things. I've always been quite an involved auntie anyway. Yeah. But she might become a little angel, man. Do you know what I mean? I'd do anything for her anyway. But she heard a lot when my nan, when her nan passed, my mother. She down good for my mother.
Oh.
A while before, so they were kind of all right. But I think in her head, like that's like they lost
part of her grief.
They lost biggest like kind of memory. Do you know what I mean? So that it took a lot for us to kind of deal with that. But I sit down with the kids often to talk about my mum and things like that. Like my nephew now is into this. He's likes photoshopping and doing things like that. And he's like, he rang me the other day and he was like, I made a photo, Nanny, and can I send it to you? And it was like a picture of my mother stood in gates with angels, the wings around her and stuff. And bless him. Do you know what I mean? But he's very, very spiritual. For an 11-year-old boy, he is. He's very spiritual. He was like, I want all Nanny's crystals, and he charges them up for things, and he's very much into it. And every time he comes up the house, he'll spend about half an hour just talking to my mother. Do you know what I mean? He'll always get up on a chair and give her a kiss to her, and he goes, "Hi, Nan." Do you know what I mean? He's very, into things like that. It's like, this one bumblebee wouldn't leave him alone. He's like, Nan, go away. He's talking to the bumblebee and that. He's like, yes, now he's just around. That's mad, isn't it? Yeah, he is. He's very, do you know what I mean? So it's mad to see how the two of them dealt with it differently, but also at the same time, like they know they've got us, like they got my father, my brother, their mother, like we're all around to support them. I think that helped a lot, especially with my niece.
Yeah. How old do you see she is?
14.
She was 14. So how did she have like help in school? Did she go into like therapy herself, or was it just a family thing where you all come together? And
mainly family, yeah. But I suppose we did have a help here, there, and everything as well. We had a few family issues as well with the two of them where it was hard. Do you know what I mean? After Mum passed, and unfortunately, social services things like that were involved with the kids due to their mental health
because they were suffering.
Yeah. But after that, they went to camps and things, and they were doing really well there with the school and things, and now, especially with Eva, we've got no issues with her school. She's doing really well. She's like sitting like mock exams and things like that, and you know, she's thriving now. She's trying to do her best and things, and
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? She always kind of, it's always like, oh, Nanny, you know, Nanny's watched over me as well, so it's nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you think of grief, you don't think of, like, obviously it affects, it's like a ripple, it affects everyone around you, doesn't it?
I make sure as well that the two of them, like, they know they could always come to me and speak about Nanny. Do you know what I mean? It's never.
Yeah, I think that's important, because you wouldn't want anyone to think, oh, well, I can't because it's
And I think a lot of it as well, I made, and like when we would have these gatherings and things like that, I'd always kind of make them aware and make sure they're okay. Like, we're going to be talking about Nanny. Are you okay with that?
That's really good. That's quite important, actually.
We made sure that they, like, if we were ever together as a family or whatever, and if we were bringing up, like, and we were having conversations, that they were okay with it first.
Yeah.
Because I think it was quite important to us that they were okay. And obviously we realised they were grieving. They just lost their nan.
I can tell you 100%, even though I was only 2 and a half when Melody died, the memories I got of the conversations around her death, and they actually bothered me actively recently.
Yeah.
Because nobody really considered.
Same year with Nudge. I remember Nudge. It was about 3.
We just assume these kids are resilient.
And I remember all of it. They just.
That's what I mean. And the last thing that.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, the last thing that we wanted was for the kids to sit there, like, listening to conversations.
Or even little bits of certain conversations, and then piecing a whole different.
It was always kind of like, and we know, when I remember saying to Eva and Charlie, with, you know, me and my brother, we were like, look, you know, we can talk about Nanny if you want to.
I think that's what affected me the most, going back, just my experience with Nudge. No one would talk about it around me.
Yeah.
And then one minute he was there, the next minute he wasn't, and no one explained to me that he was dying.
Yeah.
And that affected me.
Yeah.
So I think that's really, important that you are open. And
yeah, well, we did our best anyway, do you know what I mean, to kind of thing. My nephew didn't go to the funeral, obviously, you know, he was only 10 at the time, so he was quite young. He doesn't think he was ready for it, but Eva, she was like, I'm being there, do you know what I mean? And she did, and my heart broke for her, bless her.
But again, like you say, it's really important to have a funeral. I mean, some people, during COVID, for example.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine.
Because, again, a very similar story. I had a client, and they called me, and they passed away. Big shock, you know, and they couldn't even have a funeral for a long time.
Couldn't imagine.
Longer, actually, because they couldn't get it back.
Yeah.
It took so long. And that for me, like you said, having a funeral is kind of fundamental.
Yeah, it is important. And I think, because after that, I took a month off. I did go back to work. I tried. After the funeral.
You did most of your work, I think.
Yeah. I done, I think I went back to work for like a day. And then the next day I went into work and I just buckled and I was like, I need some time off. And I did. I took a month off. And I can,
the support it.
Yeah, and I just they were fab. They were, they understood. At the end of the day, just lost my mum in what's the word I'm looking for? And the circumstances were unusual circumstances. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So they were very, very supportive, which was nice, because sometimes you don't often get that.
No.
And my poor brother, he texts his boss saying, my mum's just passed away, I'm going to need a couple of days off work. And he just went, okay. And then when my brother did go back to work, he walked up to my brother and went, so when's your mother's funeral then? Mom said, well, I don't know.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? How am I supposed to know? We haven't even got her back yet from Tenerife. He said, boy, you don't even know when your own mother's funeral is.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, do you mean, imagine someone saying that to you after you go through one of the toughest times of your life. Do you mean, you're grieving over your mother, and then you've got someone being that inconsiderate towards you? Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, did I get school?
Yeah. So I was very lucky with work. So I took the month off, and yeah, obviously worked a lot on myself as well. Yeah, and I think I've come out the other end now, do you know?
And it's still only been a year.
Yeah, but I think I've had the worst of my grief.
Yeah.
Now it's always just like a lot.
Learning to live with that.
Yeah. Learning it's never going to go away, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's just
does time heal.
I think where people say, "Oh, time is a healer," I wouldn't say it's a healer. I just think within time you learn to cope with the different ways of grief. Do you know what I mean? Because it could be at any time. Like I said, I was in Tesco's, I tried to ring my mum because it's like, oh, I want it. Yeah, mama, no. Oh, I can't do that no more. And it's like simple little things, like certain smells to me. Sometimes I walk in the house, I'm like, whoa, hang on, that's doing. And it does, it takes you back. And I think there's always going to be times like that where it can just happen and grief can just overwhelm.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't say I'm going to be healed within time, because that pain and that kind of trauma of losing my mother the way that I did is always going to be there. But just learning to deal with it and learning to cope with it within time will help.
Yeah. I don't think anyone fully heals at any time anyway.
No,
I think it's impossible. There's got to be a little bit of
this is always there.
that's
I
natural.
suppose the grief kind of just, well, you just learn to adapt around the grief, don't you, Jimmy? The grief don't get smaller. You just adapt.
Yeah. You know.
But yeah, I'm always going to grieve. It's my mum, my best friend, done everything together, Jimmy. So that's just not going to go away, is it?
Yeah.
But I think I definitely come out the worst end of it.
Yeah. I like I said, as soon as you said the story, I said to myself, God, that's so similar to and I
The more I talk about it, the more I realise it, like, it happens. Do you know what I mean?
It does happen.
But it's always that thing that you, like I said, you read about from somebody else's life.
Yeah.
Nothing that you ever think that you're going to experience yourself, ever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It is one of those things where it's like, oh, did you hear about so-and-so down the road? Oh, yeah, lost their partner abroad. It's like, Jesus, I can't imagine how that feels. And then it's like, well, hang on.
This is happening to
This is the... What is this? Do you know what I mean? And it's like all these emotions, and it's like, it's crazy, it's mad.
I don't think anything in life can repay for that.
No, never. Like I said, you always kind of expect your person to live forever. Do you know what I mean? I think it is, it's just one of those things you're doing it, and I felt that mine would be taken away. Do you know what I mean? It was horrible, but
I'm really glad you've come up with around and you feel like you're in a good place.
a much better place. There's pictures of my mum in the house and things like that now. At first, my dad he didn't like it. But I've allowed him to I love looking at his she's my screen saver on my phone. Do you know what I mean? Is there smiling with their thumbs up? There's like,
Yeah, my daughter cares to me this much.
I look at that photo every morning and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's literally a photo. She's smiling. She's like, in the photo, and it's like, I look at that. It's like, yeah,
It's
man.
keeping her energy though.
She's telling me I could do this. Like, do you know what I mean? Every day I get up and look at that. I'm like, I could do this.
Yeah.
I can do anything.
Can do anything.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I just let my father gradually over time now kind of start putting the pictures back up of mum around the house.
Yeah.
So she's everywhere. Do you know what I mean? She always will be.
So nice.
Yeah. I guess, like, for me, it's important that she's there.
Yeah, because otherwise I think you'd have this constant sense of feeling orphaned. Am I right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I can imagine feeling like a void and just by having her there kind of fills the void a little bit.
It does.
Yeah.
Like simple things, like I've always got like kind of like dressing room or D thing. It's always hanging up. Do you know what I mean? Where
And some people do like cushions, don't they?
yeah, I've seen those.
Like we're gonna have like a shirt or a top or something like this made it
Metal cushion, yeah.
something like that. Like,
I did contemplate doing that for the kids, to be honest, because I did have to start getting rid of some of the things. Like, I didn't realise my mother was actually a hoarder. For shoes, when I was going through certain things, I'd find bags of shoes that she'd hidden. Do you know what I mean? I was like, and I can't bring them because my feet are too small.
yeah.
Get it. But you know, I have a lot of people said I've done it quite soon, which once again I felt like I was like, oh, am I grieving wrong? But I did get rid of my clothes. For me, I had to. I couldn't have that constant.
I don't think it's fair for anyone to sit there and say you've done anything to you.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. But to me, and then I was like, oh, should I have done that? And it's like, well, no, hang on, it's my way of grieving, it's my way of processing.
Yeah.
And they were not that they were just taking up room, but no one's going to need them. Do you know what I mean? No one's going to want them.
Yeah, and it's got to be sorted eventually.
Exactly. So, and I did, and I got to a point, and I was like, right, it's time. But what I did do, I took out like some of their favourite clothes. I put them in like vacuum sealed bags. So
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And all the sentimental stuff, obviously.
I've kept. So I've kept all the favourite things. So they're always going to be there. Do you know what I mean? But I did, and I kind of just had to let go of those.
The thing is, we've got you here who was doing this kind of stuff pretty quick. But then I know people who have not, well, for example, I know somebody who lost a daughter years ago, and she didn't go into that bedroom, her mum didn't go into that bedroom at all for like years.
Really?
Nothing got moved in that bedroom, out in my bedroom. So, you know, it was only until the sale of the house that they would allow well, and even that was tragic. I saw how hard it was for her, even years on.
Yeah.
Personally, from what I've seen from that situation and what you're saying now, I just think, well, grieve the way you should grieve.
Yeah.
And know that that's okay, whether that's quick or not. But actually, I do think there's a sense here that you should do it in efficient time.
Yeah.
Because I think
if I'd have left it too long, then I wouldn't have healed, because it's just that constant, like, I understand, like, at the start, I was like, I can't get rid of him. I think in a way that was when I was in my denial stage of where she might come home. Do you know what I mean? So at the start, I was like, no, you can't touch him. Nobody can touch
you
him.
might get stuck in that.
Yeah.
Which is
so,
a feeling.
and I think when it came to a point of where I was like, right, I'm ready. And obviously I did care of my dad's. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of stuff, kind of things that we could, went to tech, whatever, charity, whatever. But when I was like, right, I'm ready now. And I obviously, like I said, cleared it with my dad, and we needed the room anyway, because obviously Eva's living with us, so needed the space for her clothes anyway. But it was like that, I felt like I was ready. And it was like, yeah, this is right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think if I'd left them, I would have been putting myself back into that cycle of...
And you may go stuck there.
Yeah.
And then downward spiral.
Exactly.
I think that's really good advice, you know, for listeners. I really do.
Yeah.
Because I think...
don't rush it, don't force it.
Just go with what feels right.
Yeah. But when it feels right, do it. Because otherwise it is that case of where I do feel that I would have been stuck in that cycle of, no, I can't give it up. No, I can't touch him. Leave him there. Nobody touch him.
What made you feel like you were doing it too fast? Is it just because of what you think grief looked like, your idea of grief before? Or is it because of other people?
I think a lot of it was a mix of everything, really. Because, you know, obviously where some people be like, oh, what do you mean? Oh, you getting rid of the clothes, all right. And it's like, well,
And they make you...
Am I not supposed to be? Or like,
yeah,
is it okay for me to do this, or am I supposed to keep them forever? Like, I couldn't do that.
When is the right time?
Yeah, and I think it was literally, I was tidying up the house this one day, and I was just like, it's gonna go. It needs to go.
I think that's powerful. I think that's important to do it when it feels right.
Yeah,
100%.
It does. It makes a big difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then anyone who was
It felt like a weight as well.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it felt like a weight got lifted off my shoulders, like, because it was, in a way, it's like I'm in just that constant, you know, like, it's mum's things, they're not mine, they're not my dad's, they're not no one's, they're my mother's. Do you know what I mean? And once going back to, her body's not here no more. Her body's not going to need these anymore. Her body's not going to use them anymore. What is the need to keep them?
Yeah.
So when I did, it was kind of like, oh, right, okay.
And that's how you know you did the right thing.
Yeah, and that's how I know I dealt with it in the right time. I rang my brother, I was like, is there anything that you want? He was like, no, I've got one of the dressing gowns, I'm good. Do you know what I mean?
Was there ever a conflict in the family because maybe other people thought you were doing it too soon, or?
No.
So everybody was...
In all fairness, we've all been pretty good with each other.
Because I was going to say, that could be hard in a family situation when everyone's grieving differently.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to do this and they can't do this because they don't should. Like, so none of that happened.
No, we were all pretty good. Yeah, like, obviously, we all did grieve differently. But at the same time, we all kind of stuck together. So there was no issue. Like, when I did say, I was like, look, I am ready to, you know, give it a mommy's clothes. You all came around and he was like, yeah, that's fine. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Obviously, like my brother said, he was like, you live with them, not me. Do you know what I mean? You do what you've got to do.
Yeah.
Even like with the funeral plans, things like that, he was always just like, well, me and Warren, we knew this is what Mum wanted, this is what we're going to do, you know, this, and that was that. We did sit down together because we didn't actually know what music we wanted, but we all just kind of sat down together, had a conversation about it, picked up what we wanted, and that was that. Yeah. There was one song that my brother wanted, which we were like, oh, we don't know if we're going to be able to fit that one in, but we were like, no, it's our mother's funeral, we'll fit it in.
She is coming.
Do you know what I mean? It's going in whether we like it or like with
Is it a limit to how many songs you can have then?
I think the music was, you know, we all kind of had that one song each. So, you know, there was no arguments, no kind of disagreements, other than, like I said, we kind of all, when we sat out with the music, it was like, oh, well, maybe about this song, or maybe, but it wasn't even a disagreement, you couldn't call it. We did get the point where it was like, right, okay, well, we've all got the songs, and you have the entrance, the middle one, and then the one to walk out with, and things like that. And I think every single song that we picked was just perfect to describe my mother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
we had like Take That, The Greatest Day, because it was one of my mother's favourite songs. She was obsessed with Take That. We had Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here in the middle then, while we went through like the photos and things like that. And then at the end, then it was M People, Search for the Hero. Don't even know any of those songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was nice. Do you know what I mean? Everything was just kind of, it was, in a way, like I said before, it was already planned before it was planned, because my mother was never scared to say how she wanted, or just afraid was discussed, you know, what when she was gone, or what she wanted when she was gone, and things like that, which
Do you
I
think
think-
made it easier?
in a lot easier. In a way, like when my mother was talking about it when I was young, like, Mum, shut up, like, to me, you're not leaving me yet. What are you worried about this for? But now, looking back, I'm like, thank God we did have those conversations, because I could have been absolutely clueless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or just felt like you didn't really know what you were doing.
Yeah.
Doing the right thing.
But luckily enough, I knew. And it was like when they were asking about like cremation and burial, I was like, got to be cremation. If a burial, she taught me for life. She always told me that, because she was like, I'm not having no worms eating my body. I was like, fair enough. So it was always going to be cremation.
Yeah.
And then it was the whole conversation of, well, you know, you're going to bury your ashes. He was like, nope, she told me if I put her into the ground, she's going to hold me for life. Do you know what I mean? So it was easy to have those conversations because they'd already happened. Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people look at like talking about death as like a really morbid thing, but I think sometimes it does benefit to kind of be open about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does make a difference, because it did make my life in that time a lot easier.
Mm.
So considering that obviously I've gone through this grief of losing my mother, at least I was able to have that 1 week lift off my shoulder being like, right, this, done.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you just show how, you know, the way you've dealt with it all is just like a testament to how strong you are. But I think the main thing I've taken from it is that everyone will grieve in their own way, and there is no one way to deal with grief.
No right or wrong way.
But also how important it is to not suppress your emotions and bury them, and kind of, it's so easy to numb yourself.
Yeah.
And how important it is to actually let those emotions come out, and whether that's through counselling, writing a letter,
Yeah.
however it's done.
Did you mean, like, for me, like I said, the best way was taking myself away from everyone, sitting in my room, letting it all out, and just writing a letter, and it did help a lot. It really did. Do you know what I mean? And that was the biggest thing that I learned as well through my grief, was there's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
I haven't done it in the wrong way, even though I felt like I was. I had this kind of guilt over not breathing right, which doesn't make sense.
And that's something I got to be honest, I never thought would even be a thing, you know? I didn't think people, I've never had like major grief as of yet, you know, would have lost anyone really close to me that I can honestly say I grieved for, but I
Neither
never,
have I, see.
yeah, and honestly, you say that is something I never would have even thought as a thought process, am I grieving right? But then obviously naturally, you won't feel like that when you've got so many people like this in a small village who know your business.
Exactly. And I think a lot of it is like, because like you see grief on telly,
Yeah.
you see other people grieving, and it's like this big black cloud constantly. So in a way, I think everyone's kind of got that expectation of grief and how you should feel, and how you go through grief in this, you know, like I said, TV, films, everything. Like you do get a lot of kind of grief in films, but so in a way, for me, I think it was like kind of like I had that expectation about this is what I should be doing. So when I was kind of like, well, obviously going through distraction and denial and things like that, I do think it is a step-by-step process you kind of go through. How you go through that process, though, is completely to the person you are, I suppose. Like for me, the best way I dealt with it was, well, obviously at first it was a bit of denial because I couldn't comprehend that she'd gone. But then after that, it was like, right, my way to deal with it is I need to deal with everything else first.
Yeah.
You know, and then I kind of allowed my emotions, obviously through counselling and understanding, that I could be sad and didn't have to be strong all the time. I could be sad and it was okay.
And also you could be positive and it'd be okay.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
That
It doesn't have to be
literally what I was about to say. No, exactly. And I can celebrate your life, and I can think of the good things, and I can smile. I don't have to be sad all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing counsel helped with, was understanding that I grieved the way I had to grieve.
Yeah.
Not the way that this grief is expected to be, kind of, you know, the way it's portrayed. That's not always how someone's going to feel. Yeah, someone can go through emotions like that, but I didn't. I went through it in my own kind of wavy up and down situation. Do you know what I mean? And just knowing for me, like obviously I'm strong with my family, things like that, but for me, going away and kind of sitting there and letting my emotions then take over worked for me, and it helped.
Yeah, I think that's the message really, and then it's just finding what works for you.
Yeah, grief's never done in a right or wrong way ever, and I think I've learned that the most. But like I said, feeling guilty for not thinking that I'm grieving right. I said, well, what is right?
It's just almost something you just wouldn't have seen would happen, but it's really good you pointed out because it's not something I would have ever thought would happen. That thought process, you know.
It was that was obviously like the biggest thing really was learning to deal with the grief and understanding the grief and understanding my grief.
Yeah.
You know, and going through that process then with that. But yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. I think it's quite helped a lot to I was talking about it. Hopefully someone could hopefully somebody could benefit as well from do you know what I mean, everything that we've talked about today.
Yeah.
Exactly. We normally like to ask guests if they'd like to nominate a charity on the pod. Is there a charity that comes to mind for you?
The closest charity probably to my heart is the Alzheimer's Society, due to my grandmother suffering with dementia. So it's one that I've always kind of contributed to, and I still do today. So that'd probably be my choice.
That's fab. We'll put the link to that in the description if you want to donate. If you feel like this episode might help anyone, share it with them, and hit that follow button if you can.
Any questions?
Email them in at spill@traumaandtea.com.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening if you're still with us.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.